Okay, we're going to take a minute to talk about what an indeterminate form actually is. So an indeterminate form is an expression we can't evaluate, meaning if we get one of these forms and we're taking a limit, the answer to the limit could actually end up being anything, and we're going to have to use another tool. So let me show you what I mean. So if we look at the limit as x goes to 0 of 3x squared over sine of x. If we just try our direct substitution method, if we plug in 0, we'd have 3 times 0 squared, which is 0, over sine of 0, which is also 0. So we'd get 0 over 0. Now, you don't need to know why now, but the actual limit here ends up being 0. Which I know you might think like, wow, so dividing by 0 would be undefined, but this is a special case, 0 over 0, we're going to have to use other tools. Another case where we'd get 0 over 0 but get something different, if we look at the limit as x goes to 0 from the right of x over cosine of x minus 1. Now if we put in 0, we would get 0 over cosine of 0, which is 1, minus 1, we would get 0. So again, we'd get 0 over 0. But, and again, you don't need to know why right now, if we actually do this limit, we end up getting negative infinity. So these are two different values we could get, and the crazy thing is there would actually be limits where you would look at 0 over 0, and it could be any number. So we're going to have another tool. Now, all of the indeterminate forms that we will see in this class that you need to know are indeterminate are 0 over 0, infinity over infinity, and these could be positive or minus infinity over positive or negative infinity, and they don't even have to be the same sign. So, for example, you could have negative infinity over positive infinity, and that would be indeterminate. Infinity times 0, infinity minus infinity, 0 to the 0 power, and 1 to the infinity. Okay? Now, I know some of these, like infinity minus infinity, you might think, well, that would just be 0, but that's not actually the case. If the second infinity is bigger, or getting bigger faster, then we'd get negative infinity. So 0 to the 0, I know you might also think anything to the 0 is 1, but that's not quite true when it's 0 to the 0. And the one you might be really concerned about is 1 to the infinity. 1 to anything is 1, but when we get infinities, some strange things can happen. So these are our indeterminate forms. 0 over 0, infinity over infinity, infinity times 0, infinity minus infinity, 0 to the 0, and 1 to the infinity.